During the break, I stayed in my corner, thinking about many different things, and watching the others without drawing attention to myself. As always, no one really noticed when I was not truly present. And that was perfectly fine with me. I did not like being the center of attention. The only exception was Yuna. She brought me something to drink and wanted me to join the others. I was just about to follow her, or rather, let her pull me along, when the break came to an end. Everyone's attention shifted toward Mr. Noor. The individual shootings began. Every person before me was remarkable. At least, that was how it looked to me. Then, it was my turn. At first, I abandoned the idea I had prepared. But as I walked past him and briefly looked into his face, my motivation returned, and with it, the confidence to follow through with what I had planned. So I began to pose, and every time I moved, my gaze returned only to him, to Mr. Noor, to Mehiel. I moved through the poses as if caught in a rush, my eyes fixed on him, and my desire to show him what I could do growing stronger with every movement. Then I did something none of the others before me had done, and inside I thought, "Look closely, Mehiel Noor."
Without realizing it, I watched him more closely than the others. I could hardly look away. At first, he seemed uncomfortable. At least, that was the impression I had. But when he began removing part of his outfit, he seemed to loosen up. I was pleasantly surprised. The outfit he had chosen had suited him from the beginning, but now, I found him genuinely attractive. Of course, I did not allow that reaction to show. Not here. Not in that moment. Once Noel had finished his shooting, I was the only one left. As I walked past him, I gave him a small smile to show him that I liked what I had seen. But I made certain the others would not notice that my interest in him went beyond the shooting itself. When I reached the shooting area, I began with my first poses. From time to time, I deliberately searched for Noel's gaze. Some part of me wanted to know what he thought of my shooting. But I also knew that he would probably not tell me. After my shooting, I took a quick drink and walked directly toward Noel. The others were also instructed to remain in the studio. I told Noel that I was still not entirely certain whether he would advance to the next phase. Because of that, I wanted to see one more shooting from him. I left it at that and waited for his reaction.
I was finished. I took one deep breath and stepped away from the backdrop. As I walked past Mehiel, I looked at him. He smiled. It was a beautiful, affirming smile, so perhaps he had liked it after all. I returned the smile as discreetly as I could and went back to my place in the corner. I could feel the others looking at me. None of them had removed or changed part of their outfit. Whatever. I did not care. Just as I had never cared what other people thought of me. At the very end, the boss himself stepped in front of the camera alone. So professional. So incredibly beautiful. Our eyes kept meeting. I did not know whether it was only coincidence, but it gave me the strange feeling that somehow I was the reason his poses seemed so special. Or perhaps he was simply very experienced. Either way, he was the one I enjoyed watching the most. When he finished, I assumed it was over, that I could leave once he had chosen the winners of this round. But then he began walking toward me, straight through the group standing in front of me. He said he was not yet certain about me and wanted to do another shooting with me. Mehiel Noor wanted to do a partner shooting with me? I did not understand. Of course, I had made a special effort, but I had not expected this at all. Still, I could hardly refuse, especially because I did not want to. I was only a little confused by his invitation, but I agreed silently with a slight nod.
Before we finally stepped in front of the camera, I explained to Noel what exactly I had noticed about his presence in front of the camera. It was important to be able to pose with another person without giving the impression that being close to them felt uncomfortable. That discomfort would show in the photographs, and those photographs were ultimately meant to be published. I did not like staged images or photographs that looked forced simply because someone had demanded them. And in this case, I would be the person making that demand. Even though I enjoyed his presence and wanted to keep him near me, perhaps even as a partner within my agency, what the photographs were meant to communicate still had to feel genuine. Once I had finished explaining, I took his hand and led him onto the shooting area. Then I allowed the photographer to do his work. Throughout the shooting, I tried to understand how Noel was feeling beside me. Truthfully, I found it more difficult than I had expected. But during our conversation afterward, I intended to find out. And if necessary, I would find a solution together with him. At least, that was what I hoped. It was also possible that Noel himself would realize that this kind of work simply was not right for him. For the moment, that question would remain open until our shooting came to an end.